All right, there's the record feature. So if you missed the last class, each time I've gone to upload the video, I've been interrupted. And so I haven't uploaded the video from last class yet, but I intend to do that very soon. I think it should be, for those of you that use the YouTube channel, it should be on there. I just haven't linked it to our class. So for whatever reason, I think it's probably because spring enrollment has opened. So there are a lot of things to try to connect. Those of you in the graduate program had 5 folks go through MCP comprehensive examinations. So had some good work shown there, but then that's a little extra work here to grade and do interviews and things. So that was good. Anything else? Anybody got any big news that's happened since Monday?
I got married on Saturday.
Congratulations, Bree. Very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's been a lot of planning in the process there.
It was kind of thrown together. We just were like, let's just get married this year. We've been together for like 7 years, and then we had the baby, which we were supposed to get married the week we had the baby. So
No worries. No worries. So it's all good now. So that's probably a stressor relieved a little bit.
it was really nice. Some of his family came, some of my family came, but we were still like separated from each other, but we were able to be together, you know?
Okay. So y'all socially distanced, but still had the ceremony.
Yeah, we ended up doing it outside at the park. It was really pretty. I didn't think it was going to end up being that good.
Oh, that's very cool. So Mother Nature cooperated with you, and I got married outside as well, and it was such a good day. Just a little cool, a little brisk in the air, but nobody was uncomfortable. So very nice. Wouldn't have it if I could imagine. I wouldn't have it any other way, but that's just me. Okay, well, so we have a pretty good crew. We've got Karen out there. Hi, Karen. And Frank. Hi, Frank. Good to see you. Sorry to interrupt your drinking. I don't want to give you a drinking problem with trying to respond to me while you're taking a sip. Tells me I'm thirsty too. You made me thirsty just watching you. Hi, Tiffany. How are you? I've got some canned goods if I remember to bring them. I see them behind you. I just keep forgetting them. They're in the garage. And then Kimberly Engels out there somewhere.
Hello.
Hello. So let's go ahead and jump in. So what I want to do today is I'd like to finish up our social skills training, which is built on the work of Albert Bandura, social learning theory, and how humans are very influenced by their peer groups. We talked a lot about how adolescents are very informed and very influenced by the peers that are around them, possibly their greatest influence at that age, depending on the stage of adolescence that they're in. So what I want to do today is I want to just take you through, because we went through really quickly. I think I'm trying to catch up a little bit with the syllabus, but what I want to do today is take you through a few of the techniques just so they stand out. So I'll demonstrate a few since we don't have any grad students that picked this one up. And so I'm going to ask all of you so if you have anything to maybe write with, it would be good to maybe have a blank sheet of paper, and I'll get one too, because I'm going to do this with you as I ask you to do it. So maybe just a blank sheet of paper and something to write with will help with this class. I realize not everyone has the textbook, and so I tried to make PDFs of the things that are in your book. So I'm going to broadcast those on my screen as we do this. So and then if I get through that, I'll probably introduce ACRA. ACRA is a very closely related, and you'll see a lot of crossover, and that's intentional. Once we get into ACRA, you'll see some commonalities with what we're doing here with the social skills training. and the gaps model. And that's, again, that's intentional. So I've got a couple people trying to get in, 2 more folks. Okay, so we're going to start with that. We'll do some of my own work with you all, and then we may introduce ACRA to finish off our class today. So that's our plan. And before we get into this, I want folks to either something they're journaling about, or, you know, in our demonstrations, we're talking about addictive behaviors, whether it be a substance, whether it be, you know, social media, gambling, smoking, you know, whatever it is. I'd like for you all, before we start, to pick one of your vices, pick one of the things that you're addicted to, that you're going to respond to. So I'm not going to necessarily ask you to share unless you want to. So if you want to work on something significant to you, you can. If you want to work on something like, I don't know, if social media doesn't take too much out of your life, but you do see you have an addiction with it, you know, you might use that, coffee, whatever it might be. So let's go ahead and get started with that in mind. So you need to keep that on your front burner as we work through this. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share. If you're in doing this technique, so again, this happens in 5 sessions. So this would be the second session with your client. So you all are my clients right now, because you all won't, I have to be your client so often. So anyway, can you all see the somewhat blurry PDF that's on my screen? It says, I thought about using on. Give me a thumbs up if you can kind of see this. Okay. So what I'd like you to do is, you don't necessarily have to fill this out verbatim, but we're going to go through this together. So I'm gonna use my own addiction too. So we're going to fill this out as a group. So think about, I thought about using or used on. So you might just jot down the days of the week: MTW, THF, SAT, Sun. And so you're going to make kind of get a list. And this is kind of like a journal where you keep track of when you used or thought about using. So go ahead and keep your addiction in mind, and go ahead and start filling out whether you thought about it and used, or just thought about it or didn't think about it and didn't use. So I'm going to go ahead and do this with you.
Does it start yesterday or last week?
So I would just try to roll this over, because we are on Wednesday. So just try to keep count of, if you can remember last week, that's fine, but just do your best.
So we are attaching this form to the journal that is due, what is it, the 17th, I believe? So
you don't necessarily have to attach this to anything. This is just for our demonstration today. I'm trying to get folks to understand how you do this technique. So you're going to do it with me.
Okay.
Okay, and when you get that done, move on over there to the right quadrant where it says, I wanted to use, and then there's some things that it wants you to either check mark or not check mark. When I felt the need to cope, when I just wanted to have fun, because I was angry or upset, and any other reason. So you might even include if you had a craving to do it, you just felt like this urge. That's where that would go. And then moving down to the third quadrant here, my goals for the next session are, so maybe not even for the next session, but just say what your goals are for the next week. So you could say not to use at all, use fewer days, If you have cross addictions with many other behaviors, maybe cut down on other addictions. Maybe use your addiction less than maybe a less amount of time or less amount. And then any other goal that you might have with your addiction. That's for our next week, what kind of goals we're going to have. And then I want you to go over to the fourth quadrant. When I thought about using, so used, and you can check all that apply. Did something else. Thought about the consequences. Avoided use. And then anything else that might have gone along with that. All right. And then we're going to scroll down a little bit. And I want you to go ahead and use this 10-point scale to rate your week. So just overall, doesn't necessarily have to do with your addiction. Just go ahead and rate your week. So 0 would be completely lousy and terrible, just horrible. And then 10 would be a cloud 9. And so come up with a number. And you might jot down a couple of things that happened to you, that you can think back. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing. One of the things that we're going to do with each one of you actually do this each session. So you do this with your client each session that you have. So four out of the, it's 5 sessions, but you'll do this 4 times. And so I'd like to go over this with someone. Would anyone mind volunteering to talk about their in a public setting? Okay, thank you, Bree. I appreciate that. So,
No worries.
Mr. Randolph,
hi, Frank.
how you doing? Would you ask that last question again? Because I just was able to link up with you.
Okay, so the last question was dealing with just writing down a couple of things that happened to you in the past week. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go over that sheet, and I'll share it. I'll share the screen again for those of you that missed. And so Bree, let's go ahead and get started.
Okay.
And so Bree, tell me a little bit about your pattern of use in the past week.
My pattern of use this past week, I used every other day, so it's better than every day, but I thought about using every single day.
Okay, and what addiction are we talking about?
Caffeine, my coffee intake is just terrible.
Okay, but every other day is
Mhm.
a step in the right direction from what I'm gathering.
Yes, because I was drinking every other days, but then I had a meeting with my counselor, Mr. Rogers, and we agreed upon every other day, which I've been doing very well because I didn't want to come back to group or class and say that I was drinking every day again.
And so you stuck to that with that accountability you set for yourself.
Yes.
That's really cool. That's good to hear. I remember our session with social media, and I actually did decrease my social media quite significantly because I remember if I have to come back and talk to this person, I can't fail. And so it's amazing what just a little bit of accountability will do. Thank you. So tell me a little bit about when you wanted to use. What kind of reasons did you have?
I chose when I just wanted to have fun, and then other social gatherings. I had my wedding, so me and my mom had coffee in the morning before, and we just talked about life a little bit. So it's always a really social thing for me.
It's nice to share a cup of coffee with somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah, good conversation, good rich cup of coffee.
just sets the tone for the day, you know?
Yeah.
Like making sure to brush your teeth. You're ready.
It almost is part of the routine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit. I'm going to go to the goals last here. I'm actually going to go to this quadrant next. So when did you find, when you thought about drinking coffee or using caffeine, what all did you check here?
I definitely checked, used, did something else, thought about the consequences, and avoided using. So I used those 4.
Really run the gamut on those 4. Anything else when you thought about using?
I ended up drinking water instead. Yeah, so I just replaced it with something that I probably should be doing more of.
So some positive coping in there as well.
Yes, yeah.
All right. Good, good. What goals when you're thinking about, because it sounds like we're really making a change on this coffee use here. What goals do you have for next week then, considering all the progress that you've made?
I think I've been doing really well, and I don't want to rush myself because I feel like if I just completely cut it off cold turkey, I'm gonna end up reverting to every day. So I think maybe just twice a week next week.
Okay, so this gradual movement toward, and so what is your ultimate goal with your coffee use?
My ultimate goal is to go ahead and cut it out completely because I was looking at my grocery bill, and between the coffee filters, the coffee, and then the Starbucks creamer, it's just putting a little bit of a dent.
Okay, so some concrete financial reasons to
Yes.
just go ahead and cut it out.
Yeah, we need to pay for more diapers, so you know.
Oh yeah, you don't get a baby shower every week to get
No.
diapers, unfortunately. So okay, that's okay. That sounds like an ambitious but yet attainable goal. So 2 times next week. Any particular days that you're setting up for those 2 days?
I definitely think Monday, because Monday's always, the dreaded day. I have to go back to work. I want to hang out with the baby and I just can't. So I think Monday, and then probably Thursday, because Thursday is kind of a slow day for me.
Okay, okay. Again, sounds very doable, very concrete here. Tell me a little bit about your week.
I would say it was a 9. I had a really, really good week. I got married this week and we had some family around. The only thing that was stressful is that my father-in-law tried to get in the baby's face without a mask. And so I freaked out a little bit, but I calmed myself down and I just talked to my husband and I was like, I need you to speak with him or I will speak with him. So we managed that.
So in the midst of this really spectacular week, there was one poignant stressor that I don't want my baby to get sick. This is not appropriate. But
Yeah.
yet there was some support for you and that
Yeah,
rectified itself.
definitely. And everybody else was very they agreed to the terms before we got there, and so did his father, but I think he just got a little excited because he finally got to meet her, so we were able to solve it pretty well.
Okay. So it was a little bit cute, but then a little bit terrifying.
Very terrifying.
At the same time.
Yeah, not cute.
Well, I appreciate you sharing with that, Bree.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
so what did y'all note about the interaction there?
It kind of gave you a script to go off of.
Yeah, when you're starting, if you're just now beginning to counsel somebody, it's nice to have somewhat of a script, just so you can get in a flow of, hey, the first 5 minutes of a session. And how long did that take, by the way? Not long, maybe 5 minutes, right? A check-in shouldn't take more than 5 or 10 minutes at most. unless somebody just had something horribly dramatic happen to them. So, you know, it just kind of lets you check in, establish some rapport. What things did I use with Bree that we've kind of talked about in previous classes? What kind of techniques did I use that aren't necessarily on that sheet?
They were still open-ended questions, and she did a majority of the talking. You just kind of geared and slid the conversation along. So,
Right. Anything else in particular? Remember our oars? Open-ended questions is one of them there. Did I hit all the oars?
Yeah, because you did reflection.
I feel like
I feel like affirmation. I mean, she cut back. I don't know if you actually said good job, but
well, that's not necessarily an affirmation. Isn't necessarily a good job at a girl. An affirmation is more of an affirming like how she feels. And so I tried the affirmation at the end. It was a little bit inaccurate because she said something about her father-in-law. He was just you know, overexcited to see her, and so that's why I said it was cute, because you have this overexcited father-in-law to see their, you know, grandbaby. And so I misread. It didn't destroy our rapport, but what I gathered from Bree was that it was really terrifying, because you need to stay on my baby's face. Okay, so I'm basically affirming her experience. And so you can do that. I did say good. I remember saying good job to the cutting back, and so the affirming can be that, but there's also a deeper level to that affirming too. Frankie, what were you going to say, sir?
Yeah, affirming. I was just gonna say that it sounded okay, but I was thinking something a little more reassuring, kind of like, how can I say, you could have made a little bit more of a fuss over her reaction to her father doing that with the child. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm mistaken.
No, I think I probably could have come back and affirmed that a little bit more. I think I was ready to close the segment, and so I didn't mean to cut her off. Yeah, I didn't completely affirm her there. Because I misread a little bit, but yeah, I could have come back and done that a little bit more. No, it's sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was going to just say, well, with this check-in, it's really good too, because it leads into, okay, well, tell me more about your father-in-law and that experience.
Yeah, you can take it off different ways. Again, it's generally meant to just be a 5 to 10 minute thing to and so you get to see how much your client used. In this case, our client made improvements. You get to see kind of why they're using. I wanted to use to cope, for anger, for cravings. You know, what I thought about, and you get to see if they actually employed coping skills. Like she drank water. She avoided using, thought about the consequences. So it really takes you into the mindset and what's going on internally when somebody's trying to quit. How many of you observe those things in yourself when you're doing this? Okay. How many of you were able to track a little bit of progress with what you've kind of done so far in this class? So good, a few of you. If not, it's okay. We're still getting into the techniques for change. So these are some things that, again, help a person move through those stages of change. All right, let's move forward a little bit. So that's used almost virtually every session. In fact, let me rely on the PowerPoint. I want to anchor this to our PowerPoint. So this is session 2. So we did the check-in. So now for session 2, let's take a look at triggers. And so this is specific to, like, alcohol and drug use. But again, I want you to use the addiction that you identified for today to kind of look at triggers. So you all are going to examine your own triggers for your addiction. So let me go ahead and pull up the triggers sheet if I can. Here it is. How blurry is that on a 10-point scale? 10 is completely blurry and you can't see it. 1 is it's crystal clear. Okay, I hope you're seeing it. Are you seeing the sheet at least? Okay, this should be on page, if you want a better copy, this should be on page 75, is it? Yeah, 70, actually 76 and 77 of your text is what I'm borrowing from. All right, so think about, for those of you that engaged in your addictive behavior, so same thing, get your sheet. We're gonna keep working here together. And I want you to identify, and if there are multiple triggers, there are several lines. So think about your addictive behavior in the past week and what triggered you to engage, if you did, or even if you didn't, what triggered you to engage in that addictive behavior? And I'm just going to write those things down. So this is open-ended. This is whatever you come up with in your head. So identify at least 3. And then what did you do in response to those triggers? Okay. And then go ahead and weigh what were the positive consequences of your behavior and what were the negative consequences of your behavior. Okay. So who would like to be my next victim? Who would like to be? Haley, do you mind, since you raised your hand in the previous segment, do you mind going through this?
No, that's fine.
All right. Okay, cool. Well, thank you, Haley. I appreciate you coming to session today. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about your addiction. What addiction are you working on for our class?
A lot. Procrastination. We'll just go with that one.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about procrastination a little bit. So procrastination can be difficult to overcome. I know that I've dealt with it in my life in different circumstances. Tell me a little bit about your triggers for procrastination. What things that you've identified trigger that behavior?
It's hot outside. I don't want to go out there to do the things I need to do. So if it's hot that day, I'm just like, yeah, weather's going to be hot. I'm not going outside. There might be a movie I want to watch on TV. And so I'd rather sit and watch it than, go deep clean my closet like I need to. So it's just little things that I can do to put them off. If somebody calls and says, hey, I need I need to talk to somebody, so I'll sit and talk to someone for a couple hours just so I don't have to get up and go do my closet.
So what kind of things are you procrastinating? What kind of tasks and chores are being procrastinated?
Just everyday things that need to be done. I mean, like mowing the yard for one last time. It's not like it's growing still, so I can keep putting it off. Cleaning my closet out. Just crap I don't want to do.
Okay. Okay. So the behavior is procrastination. So how do you perceive this to be an addiction for you?
Well, it's easier to not do things than it is to do them. I mean, I'm sure it would be just as easy to do it if I would just get up and get motivated, but you know, everybody's stuck at home anyway. It's not like it's going to go anywhere.
Okay. Well, and so what kind of negative consequences has the procrastination created?
Well, it's not getting any better. I mean, I still can't hang anything on my closet because I have too many clothes.
Okay.
So
maybe
you know,
some
it's
things pile up.
negative in that way.
Yeah. What kind of positive things come about from procrastinating?
Nothing.
It sounded like you
Nothing
had
positive.
2-hour phone call with friends. Maybe see a movie.
Well, yeah, I guess you
Yeah.
can count that. And I get to watch good TV, but you know, other than that, I can talk to anybody anytime.
Well, okay. So I appreciate you jumping in. I don't know that I'd necessarily classify procrastination as an addiction. And here's the reason.
True.
I don't know that you necessarily crave procrastinating. I mean, I'd be kind of, I don't know. I'm it's not something to me that's gonna, so when you think of an addiction, think about something that's gonna release that dopamine. You know, like
I can do it over drinking. That's definitely something I've struggled with in the past.
yeah. So I don't know necessarily that procrastination in and of itself is going to lead to that, you know, that dopamine release, that pleasure. I know when I procrastinate, I don't get any pleasure out of it.
I do just because I don't have to, you know, get up and waste my energy.
Okay.
But you're right. It probably isn't a good
Yeah, I don't know.
example.
I don't know. It's not. I mean, I'm not saying that you're completely out of the water. I'm just having a hard time placing it in the addiction category. Just with so you know, when you think about addiction with folks, think about like yesterday or Monday when we talked about all that food and people were were texting back and forth. You know, I want some fried chicken. I want the chicken sandwich. I want this. I want that. The pizza. You know, that's your mouth starts watering. You start salivating. So those are some addictions for sure. But I was kind of able to work through that behavior, even though it's not necessarily an addiction. So, you know, you can use something like this, even if somebody, and so you could say, what you could put procrastination in, though, is you could put procrastination in that stages of change, for sure. I don't know that you're necessarily going to have cravings for it, but you could for sure put it in that stages of change. What do you think? What do you think stages of change for procrastinating? Where do you think you are in that, you know, your own understanding?
I was trying to find my notes.
Well, so you know the 5 stages. So like pre-contemplation, I'm not thinking about changing my procrastination. Contemplating, yeah, I kind of see the negatives and the positives. Preparation, I'm making a plan to change. action. I'm doing things. I'm not.
I mean, planning on it. I'm just not being very active in it.
Okay. Okay. So I would say that if I were taking a stab at it, I'd say you're in the contemplation stage. That's what I've discerned so far.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you for volunteering. So were folks kind of able to go through and weigh out kind of the positives and negatives that you're getting? Who learned anything about triggers? Anybody learn about a trigger that you may not have thought of? Chloe, is that a yes or no? That's not a yes. I appreciate the hand movement because I tend to gesture a lot. So I found one myself. I would use the social media thing and curiosity. I didn't really think about that before, but my own social media use is, I'm just curious as to what's out there. So again, writing things out, putting it out on paper gets synapses together that maybe haven't been before. And so you make new thoughts, you make new connections on how to change things. And so you move along into a little bit different understanding of triggers. You help that person recognize when there is a trigger, that they have options. And that's really the next step. So when a trigger comes up, and I'm going to work with somebody here. Okay, the cat's got everyone's tongue in this class except for a couple of you. Tiffany, can I call on you? Are you
You
okay?
pick on me. Yeah, that's fine.
Do you mind? What's your addiction if you don't mind?
Netflix binge watching.
Okay. So
Or just TV binge watching, like series back to back.
okay, I've been there. I've had students actually cite this before. So let's go through that. So what's one of your triggers? So I'm going to work with you on this sheet here, just so the class can follow along. So take me through, Tiffany, what is one of your triggers for Netflix binge watching?
I did too, but we'll start with one. I guess bored.
Okay,
Bored
boredom.
at the house.
All right, so you're bored at the house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so bored at the house. What kind of options do you have then as far as coping or different alternatives for that trigger?
Spend time with family,
Okay.
reconnect with my husband, play with my son, go for a walk. The dog would probably like some attention too, so everyone's needy.
So a lot of so one of the things that I would be careful of if we're working through these options, if everyone's needy and Netflix is your escape from that,
Yeah.
then we're going to have to replace that Netflix, because you are giving to your son, to your husband, to the dog. Maybe the walk is the only thing out of those four that is okay. I'm giving, and I need a moment not to give.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go ahead and choose so select one option. So we kind of narrowed those down just through our conversation. So we're going to select walking.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So walking. When might you be able to take a walk during maybe a bored spell?
Probably right after work.
Okay. Right after work. What type of preparation goes into walking right after work?
Well, you have to see if you can make supper in time once you get back from your walk, because it can't get too late, but you have to go right after work, because if not, it's starting to get dark. So you do have to like change clothes, put on shoes. We do family walks a lot of times. So put the dog in the harness with the leash, get the kid in the car seat. Well, not the car seat, but the walker. My husband helps with those, but if we go on a walk together, he helps. But yeah, there's some preparation there.
This is still a giving parts of yourself time. It's not just a me moment. It's I have to kind of wrangle the family.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is.
That's not the best option from your counselor.
But one of my love languages is quality time. So
you're going to get fulfillment.
yes, I do get fulfillment out of it.
Okay. That's good to know. All right. And so the obstacles, it sounds like, if time is running short, if you happen to be late for work, if something else comes up with your son, with your husband, with the pet, these things would be obstacles to that actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What confidence ruler we're going to use in just a minute. I'll get to that. Confidence ruler, as far as 10 would be you're certain this is going to happen. 1 would be ain't no way this is going to happen. Where are you as far as confidence that you'll be able to pull off a walk next time that you might encounter boredom?
6 or 7.
6 or 7.
Yeah.
So that sounds fairly confident that it would happen. And we've kind of talked about some of those obstacles why it wouldn't. What would be the positive consequences of you walking when you're bored?
Well, I'm not just sitting and watching.
Mhm.
I'm getting physical activity. For the most part, if I walk, I feel better about myself. It is relaxing because, I mean, we do talk, my husband and I, but we also just walk. So, I mean, it kind of clears your head after a day of work and stuff like that too, which is nice.
So a lot of benefits there. You mentioned physical benefits, esteem benefits, relaxation benefits, mental health benefits, and then also the zero Netflix, not just sitting.
Mhm.
Okay. What might be the negative consequences?
Of going on the walk?
Yes, and maybe even the whole situation with preparing as well.
Gotcha. I guess supper could be super late depending on how long the walk is, or we get on the walk and I don't feel like I've gone far enough and we have to cut it short to get back for supper. So, that's probably about it. Yeah. I mean, there's not a lot of negative consequences of going on the walk, in my opinion.
So what I hear is you kind of set some standards for yourself when you go out, maybe some goals when you're walking as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very goal-oriented person. That's good.
Yes.
And so even having supper on time and having, this pressure to, okay, I've got to get supper, I've got to get the family taken care of. Okay. So definitely some trade-offs, but it looks like you have quite a few more positives than negatives.
I would agree with that.
Okay. Thank you, Tiff. I appreciate that. All right. So, what did y'all note about that interaction? What stood out?
A lot of goals to look forward to.
What did
different options instead of doing what she was doing, binge watching.
Yeah, there were a lot of things she came up with there. Very insightful as far as, her own, planning and putting things together. It sounds, what did you learn about Tiffany as we went through that exercise? I know I learned a little bit. They're good things.
Love language.
What?
Her love language.
Love language, yes. What else?
That she's goal oriented. And so that might help persuade her into doing that instead.
Yeah.
She gets satisfaction out of it.
She gets satisfaction. She's very insightful, very interesting.
There's dopamine there because she said she feels good when she walks.
Right. I also got at the end that she does have this kind of high self standard that she keeps for herself. And so that can be really good. But if you're very achievement oriented, that can also sacrifice your happiness in the moment. And so as I'm thinking about future work with Tiffany, I'm thinking about, okay, how can we, maybe work on enjoyment of the moment, and, maybe it's just some grounding, So when you work with someone and you ask these questions, you'll get all of these different kind of thoughts that come up while you're doing these silly little exercises. It may seem like, that just seems hokey, and but doing these, it gives some structure and it allows you to get to know somebody a little bit more. So,
Brenda,
yeah.
What is the difference then between her being goal oriented, which can you say hamper her progress, and being self-efficacious?
Well, I perceive her as being highly self-efficacious because she's able to plan these things out, and she put it at a 6 or a 7. The ability to pull this off. So I discern from Tiffany that if she wants to get this done, it will get done. Although it may be at a sacrifice to time, or maybe even, if she's really overzealous with it, could be in her own mental health. Maybe at times, maybe more work putting this together than the benefit, particularly as she said, if she doesn't get to walk as far as she wanted to. So, so I don't really see that being goal driven as a negative. And what I meant by that is a lot of times people who are goal driven have a hard time just, oh, man, look around me. I have what I need. I'm pretty calm. I'm pretty satisfied with things right now. And I think that really comes a lot from our society. We're driven to to achieve, to make sure that we do certain things and achieve certain things. And so that's really not necessarily just an issue for Tiffany. It's just something that knowing what I do about people's mental health, if you're constantly striving for something, you're never just, man, I have a wonderful and I know I know Tiffany, so I know she shares these things, but you don't take as much time to think, wow, I have a wonderful family, I have a wonderful situation right here, because you're focused on the next thing, and that can drive down your own happiness. So if I was working maybe long term, I think I would try to carve out time. This is extraneous to any addiction, is just carve out time for just some grounding, just some taking note of the present moment, some breathing. Sorry, go ahead, Tiff. You're one.
Well, I was gonna say, if I would have picked stress as a trigger, I like taking baths, so that's my me time.
Okay, so there's where she's able to ground and just be present. So very good, thank you. I know now nobody's going to want to go because they're like, Taylor's going to analyze, and no, I'm not analyzing. It's just me kind of knowing people. I'm not a psychoanalyst, and that's not what we do. We try to work people through addictive behaviors. So very good, thank you. All right, so that's triggers. Well, that will come up. You'll notice that probably the next 2 or 3 techniques that we try, you'll see something so similar to that. And I'm going to have one of the exercises that you'll do for this class, everybody, will be to complete something very similar. There's a formal worksheet out there. Okay, back to the PowerPoint so I don't get too far off the deep end. So again, you've got options and action plan, page 77. We already talked about iMessages last time, so I'm not going to go over that again. Aggressive, passive, and assertive communication. That's in session 3. Session 4. So this is session 4. There's this brief situational confidence questionnaire, and what that looks like is that 10-point scale. If I can find it. Too many things here. Where is it? Oh, no, I closed it. Now I've got it sideways. So this is the only way I could get the PDF to show up. So, oh no, everybody's frozen. Hold on, I'm gonna restart the meeting real quickly. I'm gonna log out and log back in. Bear with me. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. My computer froze. Can you all hear me again? Okay, good. But there is this share screen. There's this confidence ruler that I went over with Tiffany, which is how likely are you to be able to do this. There's another way that you use this confidence ruler, whether somebody's actually going to use or not. And so, so if somebody had a really bad addiction to say alcohol, and one of their triggers, oh, I've got to flip this around. No, I can't have it sideways like this. Well, you're gonna have to just like lay it on your side. I'm sorry, it's the best I can do. I'll make it a little smaller. That's too small. Okay, try to find the Goldilocks zone there. All right, so let's say that you are a social drinker. Okay, so now let's substitute everybody's addiction. We're all social drinkers right now, which might be good at this point in the week and this point in the pandemic. Thank you, Kimberly. Kimberly sent me a PDF. I'm gonna keep rolling with this one since I'm enjoying the time on my side here. So let's say we're all social drinkers right now, and we have trouble. Once we get into a social group, we just start downing them. You know, if we've got a 6-pack, and we're around some folks, it's just constantly in our hand, and or whatever our drink of choice is, and that drink is gone in probably 10 or 15 minutes. And then we're on to the next one. So that's our habit right now, our addiction. So pleasant times with others, and you know, we had that OU Texas game over the weekend, and so maybe that was one of our right on. So maybe that was one of the things that we enjoyed watching. And if you have Dr. Farrell, who graduated from the University of Texas, you might ask him what he thought about that game. So anyway, man, don't you just hate it when a rival just gets so close but just doesn't quite make it? Okay, so you think about pleasant time with others. For example, I'm enjoying myself at a party and want to feel even better. I want to celebrate with a friend. If I meet a friend, she wants to drink or use together. So if you encounter that situation, if you know that the Bedlam game is this weekend and that's you're a tailgater and that's when you really socially drink, what confidence do you have that you're not going to drink? So 10 is I definitely wouldn't drink, or 0 would be like, yeah, I'm gonna ingest quite a few this weekend. And so you can use this that's the 6th situation, but you can go through and you can use different type of situations to discern, okay, what's really the trigger? Because adolescents have a hard time, unlike Tiffany, where she's got a good understanding, and Bree and Haley, where they have good understanding of their lives. A lot of times adolescents haven't given this a lot of thought or have spoken to it. So you have these 6 kind of situations where an adolescent might engage in their addictive behavior. And that's what these worksheets work on. And those are on page 90 and 91 of your textbook. So you go into a little bit more depth. And so who used the word self-efficacy? Somebody threw that out there. It was Frank. Thank you. Yeah, the belief that you can, it's exactly what these sheets are looking at. How much do they believe that they're actually going to be able to change? So if you're a social drinker and you haven't worked on changing and you're going to go to a tailgate party, what might you expect to score on that? Yeah, pretty 0. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have at least 6-pack of Bud Light, and that's before the first quarter.
The social aspect really pulls it in, makes it harder.
Yeah, especially for folks that are social drinkers. There are some folks that tend to get around in social situations and don't imbibe that much. I know from my own social history, gosh, there were quite a few people that would not quit until they were almost passed out belligerent. Last time I went to an OU game, which was probably 3 years ago, there were people, it was the first game of the season, it was hot, but there were people passing out like, when they first got into the stadium. I'm like, man, it's not even the first quarter. The band barely got off the field. So yeah, these are some things to think about. When to control the use, when to really think about how to control triggers. And there are many situations where people have more self-efficacy. So if you had a social drinker, this is a question for the class, and they really struggled with social situations, what might be some goals for them then while you're trying to help them with their addiction? There's no wrong answers. Just throw stuff out there.
I mean, cutting back.
So you could cut back. I'm gonna attempt to go to tailgate. How might be some ways that somebody would cut back?
Bring other things to drink.
Okay, like what? Help me out, Kimberly.
Non-alcoholic beer.
Okay, so maybe do they still serve O'Doul's and Sharp and those things? Okay.
Heineken 0.
Heineken 0, all right.
Soda, but that might not be something they want to pick up.
My friends are gonna lay into me. You're the biggest wuss on the planet. You're having Heineken 0. What? It's from Europe, and you're drinking a 0 alcoholic beer. Why don't you just have a kombucha while you're at it?
Those are good.
I don't mind them.
No.
I don't.
You are ridiculous.
So what else might people do? So cut back. What else? If you're really working with a problematic social drinker, what might be something else?
I think that the first thing, as hard as it sounds, avoid social gatherings, because the social environment plays a huge role whether you're gonna succeed or not. There's no way that if you are a social drinker, you're gonna be drinking Diet Coke when everybody else is having a Dos Equis or Bud Light. There's no way.
Yeah.
So it's just avoiding the situation. And then when you are in a phase that you've been in between, at least pre-contemplation, then try to see if you have the guts to not drink, even though you are exposed.
Right. I agree with that, Isis. And that is a common goal in therapy. So if you have situations, and so like Lacey put down, for a social drinker in that kind of situation, that a 0. So that helps you formulate goals. If a person has no confidence in their ability in a situation, for God's sake, avoid that situation. Try to, so that kind of helps you plan to help.
Because even when you have the best intentions, people are going to offer you, oh, just one. Just have another one. It's not only about that I mean, the plan that you may have. It's a social environment.
Thank you. And that's the whole thing about this social skills training is that social environment. So you hit the nail on the head, Isis. This technique that we just covered, and we're putting a bow on it here pretty quickly, and wrapping up, is about the social influence and what's going on around you. And it's particularly helpful for teens. And so if a teen is not going to be able to go to Brad or Jennifer's party, I don't know why I said that, but if they're not going to be able to go, if they're not going to be able to go to that party, and not, they just don't have any confidence, they shouldn't go to that party. And that should probably be a goal. Not probably, it should be a goal.
Yeah.
So very good. Very good. Let's see what else is left. So we're about done with this. I just wanted to take people. So that was session 4, coping with stress. You know, that's a big. Gosh, that's for just about everybody. That's a hard. You use generally, or you engage in your addictive behavior a lot of times when you're stressed. Feeling badly if I slip. That's a common goal. We'll get to that in other techniques too. Future goals. These are on page 95. And then so session 5, you kind of go over what you did in the first 4 sessions. So you'll do the confidence questionnaire again for all those situations, all 6 of them, what we just did. You'll complete a decision to change worksheet that really looks at stages of change. We didn't go over that one, but you would use that in your last session. You go over a goals for change. I looked at that briefly on Monday. And also complete another where are you now sheet. So I used the red font to indicate this is where you would pull out a worksheet. How many worksheets do you use in the last session? Yeah, 5. There are quite a few. That when you work with adolescents, it's very important, and a lot of times with adults too, that you have something tangible that they can touch, concrete that they can feel, that they can write out, because it makes it more real. I wanted you each to kind of go through this with me, which is why I had you get your pens and papers when we started class, because I wanted it to be more real to you. That's when addictions can really start to change, when people get in more depth with their understanding. Well, questions, ideas, thoughts. I'm not going to get into accurate. There's not enough time. What questions, concerns, thoughts, or ideas do folks have? You like the technique? You're kind of lukewarm on it?
I should have done my technique over this, or my demo.
Tell me why. What do you mean?
It's just tangible. I feel like it's not that it's super easy, but it's something that's like pretty simple to follow. And like, the more I think about what I'm gonna do, I'm getting a little bit more nervous.
What are you gonna do?
The family one.
Okay. Yeah, that's a little more complex, but that's okay. You're getting along in the program, and you probably should stretch yourself a little bit. That's good. Any other thoughts? Well, gang,
I'm going to be looking more at when you have stress as the trigger, because I find myself, I've been dealing with that for a while. When I get stressed, and depending upon the level of stress, whether I go completely off the rails or, I got to talk to myself to get back on track. And stress, I've made some real stupid decisions. Like I get stressed about something going on at school, and then it manifests itself in something at home. So that's what I'll be looking more into hearing.
okay. And so coping particular with stress, that is, I'm glad the technique hit on it. I didn't spend a lot of time going over it. You know, you're welcome to pull out that section of the book and look at it. The other evidence-based techniques that we'll use definitely will hit on stress, definitely will hit on triggers, positive and negative consequences. Acro, when we talk about this Monday, really heavy on decision making. In other words, recognizing that there is, with a trigger, there's a decision. So if you move a little bit farther in your own understanding of addiction work, when there's a trigger, there's a decision. So when I feel myself salivating because I'm thinking about Popeye's chicken sandwich, I have a trigger, but I also have a decision, because I can right now after class go through the drive-through and there won't be too many people there because it's not quite time to eat dinner, and I'll get one and it'll probably be hot, and I'll pop it open and I'll have the pickles and the mayonnaise and I know the whole 9 yards. I can have that, and so I just had euphoric recall. I just am telling a war story kind of, because I'm thinking about my addiction. So I have a choice. I can delve into it and really relive my addiction, or I can do something else, like drink a glass of water, or go on a walk, or do something besides that. So that's the big thing to take away from this, going into our next trigger: decision. All right, gang, thank you. I appreciate, not really a question about this technique, but I think, yes, we are behind according to the syllabus. Do you still have a plan on the exam? When is our exam plan? It's the 31st, right?
I think the second, maybe it is.
It's November 2nd, yeah.
It's November 2nd. I'm still going to keep it there.
Okay.
I'm not going to try to cram. I'll take stuff off of the exam before I try to cram too much on there. So, but good question. Haley, I appreciate that. If you want to hang on, I can talk to you in a minute. But if there's nothing else, we'll adjourn. I'll see you all Monday. Peace. Have a good weekend. Haley, Kimberly, did you want to talk to me after class, or
Did you want to talk to me about practicum yesterday, or
how did it go?
It's going great. I'm doing on Thursdays. I'm there all day from 9 to 6, doing indirect and direct, and from 3 to 6 we're doing this program called Strengthening Families, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I have the book. It's not on this shelf, but it's over there. Yeah, absolutely. I've got a couple of those books.
Yeah, we're doing that, and I get to help out with all the kids. And
do you have Jackie? Is Jackie still working in that?
Yeah, Jackie's there on Thursdays. Okay. Yeah.
Tell Jackie I said hello.
I will, and Lori, and
yeah,
everybody.
Tell them all. Tell the whole gang I said hello.
I will. But yeah, in your email you said that you would talk to me about it if I needed, but I'm really enjoying it. So.
Well, it sounds like you're picking up some hours. That's a good thing.
Oh my gosh, Melina's like, "Can you come today? Can you come today? Can you come today?" I'm like, "Sure." So, I mean, every time she has someone going somewhere, I've been to schools, I've been to, they come into the clinic, I've seen intakes, I've seen screenings. I sat in for 4 hours on meetings.
Well, you're racking up hours. That's good. That's what you need to do. We'll get caught up. So
I'm trying.
All right.
So
well, yeah. Good. I'm glad it's going well. I just was gonna check in.
Yeah, no, I went outside yesterday and it attached to the Wi-Fi and I dropped your call. Yeah, and I was trying so hard to get back in and it wouldn't.
That's all right. No worries. We'll catch up next week.
Okay.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Hey, I didn't even get to read it because I'm focused on. You can.
It's okay.
You don't have to. Oh, I had to withdraw from social circle. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to throw something out there of somebody's business if they don't want it out there. So if you feel like sharing that, I'm cool with it. You're not gonna offend me any.
No, I just was saying, because my computer's like lagging and Wi-Fi. I live in the country, so Wi-Fi sucks. But anyway, no, that was just that was something that helped me when you were talking about, what can you do? Believe it or not, them adult coloring books, my kids thought I was crazy. They were like, Mom, you're old. Why are you doing that? I'm just like, guys, it's helping me, And now I'm to the point I can drink beer, but I can't drink whiskey anymore. That's for sure. But I was drinking a fifth a day by myself for about 2 years.
Oof.
Yeah,
No,
I'm jacked.
I can't.
Now I just smell it and I'm just like, but
No, I've had other people
it's
do
bad.
the mandalas, what are they? Is that what they're called? Where you kind of make the designs and yeah, those are really therapeutic.
Yeah, that's kind of the coloring. And I picked up through my last relationship after it was over, I picked up just calligraphy and doodling, and just so I wouldn't, want to go, because I like the social life of drinking, and that's why I'm dangerous, because I like to go out to the bar,
Right.
and I don't have to have it. I don't, I don't function off of it. Like, anyway, but that was, I was just sharing that, and I didn't know how much time we had. So I thought, well, I'll just type it in. And if you wanted to share that, you could.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's no big deal.
Well, if you ever want to bring something like that up, that's a coping skill, you feel free, because it's, we get more when people share during class than just me talking.
Well, I'm sorry. I should have done my addiction over these instead of procrastination. Have you had these?
I haven't, but my kids love pretzels. So I love pretzels too. I can sit down and.
These are the most phenomenal things you've ever tasted.
I'll have to.
They're
try
amazing.
Dots.
Well, don't. You will have a new problem.
Well, thanks, Haley. I appreciate you sticking around. I'll see you.
Yeah.
Monday.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.